Welcome to another episode of The Couch Coach. You're about to watch a real, one-on-one coaching call with me and an IV industry member, which is part of our efforts to help flippers unlock their flipping potential. IV Industry blends a weekly mastermind with personalized sessions like this so that flippers can get the tailored guidance they need to reach the next level. If you're curious or interested, just click on the IV Industry link below and start your application today. I'll see you on the other side.
I wish there was, and I don't know if you have something like this already in the works, but it'd be pretty cool if there were like two accounting options.
Like cash and accrual?
Yeah, because it shows the money that hit my account this week, which is cool, but it doesn't show what I'm spending to reinvest into more inventory. So like technically I didn't lose it, but the more revenue I do, the more I notice that like my cash flow doesn't exactly line up with the numbers that I'm doing.
Okay.
Especially like if I make $3,000 one week and then I spend $2,000 on inventory, it's done so.
Okay, so what time period would you like to look at here?
I guess just I had a tough time like 3 weeks ago. But yeah.
Okay, let me just, I guess, look at this in the way I tend to then. So we're looking at May. So far, 12,000 in gross sales. Cost of goods, 2,500.
Yeah, it's about right.
Okay. Expenses, 2,350. Net profit, $7,000. I mean, that's pretty solid, no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to make more, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last
I mean,
month
based on what I know about your business, that's pretty good, no?
Yeah, for sure. The new inventory's been helping. I still haven't fixed my inventory problem aside from like supplementing with new stuff.
So it looks like April was a tough month.
Yeah. But that was because of me, not because of anything else. I took like I came off the gas on the used. Yeah, I took some time off, not a crazy amount, but I definitely wasn't paying attention like I was supposed to. So yeah, and then I like liquidated $3,000 out the business to do something stupid. So yeah.
You bought some crypto or something?
No, actually stupid. I bought a car.
Oh, what's wrong with that?
I guess nothing, just the whole delayed gratification thing.
Yeah.
But right now I'm in a spot to where I wish I could. Here, how about I just send you a link to my current inventory? Because I wish I could share it. Me explaining it isn't going to do it justice, like you looking at it. The problem I want to solve today is there's a couch in that Happy Coup load that I technically sold. I have a deal worked on it. I'm trying to get the load, but I don't have enough liquidity. Because I just got some more inventory like 7 days ago, like last week, 7-8 days ago. So that was a couple grand. And I do have access to some stuff, but I don't want to over leverage myself and get into a spot where the debt that I owe is so much more than the cash that I have on hand. Because I'm used to running lean, and I don't want to do that anymore because that makes me stressed, and I don't think that's good for my decision making. So I want to come up with a solution together for a way that we can do that. And from what I've been hearing from the guys that do B stock, like this is just how it goes. Like stuff gets screwed. But 2 of the couches in the last load was where I was planning to make my money. And then 1 of the 2 weren't there, so it kind of dinged me. I'm not like completely SOL, but some of the ones that I knew would be slower movers are slower movers. Like they're still here.
Right.
And I can show you since I'm in here right now. I wish I could. I'm still figuring this out. Like this right here, I thought it was bigger. It's a nice table, but I just gotta find the right guy for it. And my cost based on that is like 3 something, so I'm gonna have to sell it for like 5 or maybe even break even just to get off the load. Yeah,
at least 5. I mean, honestly, it doesn't take. You have a lot of space, So I don't think space is your issue, and you could just tuck it in the corner of your showroom somewhere if it came down to it.
It's just liquidity right? So I can get my cash out so I can move on to the next.
Yeah. So how much cash do you have on hand?
Like 3,500, but my lease is 12 and I pay myself 1,500 a week. So I need at least 27 at all times to make me feel safe.
1,500 a week, okay.
And I've tried to dial that back, but I can only crunch so much because I got a wife and 2 kids.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Because it's only like $72,000 a year. It's not like I'm living the dream or nothing.
Well, your wife doesn't work, right? So
no.
Yeah. I mean, single income, 2 kids. You got expenses.
Yeah.
How much do you have tied up in inventory right now?
Like 5K. Yeah.
How many? That's like your cost, right?
Yeah, that's my cost. So that's like 13 and some change of inventory.
In terms of what you can sell it for.
Yeah. It's not like I have a ton. It's just bigger stuff. So the thing is that like everyone knows what their bread and butter is. and like it's been used couches. And that discussion we were having yesterday about your audience and stuff like that. The newer stuff is just a slower mover. This is a newer thing that I'm working on. But I get into this vicious cycle, and I learned from my mistakes yesterday. I literally have someone in here right now that's helping me because I realized like until I solve that, it's not gonna get fixed. Right? But it's a vicious cycle. I'll sell a bunch of like I'll get stuff stocked up. I'll make all my posts. I'll sell all this stuff because I'm so like, all right, I gotta get it gone. And then I'm spending all this time building up inventory. So then marketing falls off, and then I finally build it back up, and then I start marketing again, and then it's just over and over, right? So then these larger ones have been helping because when they hit, I only need 1 or 2 a week to really supplement good income because some of them the margins are better.
What do you mean larger ones? Like just the more expensive, the higher price point items?
Yeah, like there was that brown one I bought from the load, and it cost me like 1K, but I got like 21 back out of it.
Yeah.
Or like sometimes I have used ones that
make 800,
maybe
800 700, 800
Yeah.
bucks on, something like that. But your average sale price?
Well, 700 or 800 I can get rid of in a week. It's really like 950 to 1250. That's like that'll be a couple weeks type deal. I'm not used to this longer time horizon thing. It's only been I'm probably right at 4 weeks. And this chase I knew was going to be a time. And then this one here, once it hit 3 weeks, I packed it up. And some of the stuff that's sitting, I'll warehouse it. And like when it sells, it sells. Not really stressed about that. I wish I had more cash to make moves. I feel I'm going in the right direction, and I can tell that by my numbers. I mean, you see where I'm at.
Yeah.
It's just I'm in a growth phase, and growth is painful to me.
Yeah, you have a liquidity problem, and it doesn't help that you're the sole provider for your family, and by necessity your expenses are pretty high. But I mean, I think the good news is like the worst of that crunch, you're probably through it already. So when you quit your job 10 months ago, that's probably the worst liquidity crunch that you had the 3 months following that, right?
But also too, working a 9 to 5, I was broke anyway, so it was like there was no
Right, but at least you had something coming in, I guess.
Yeah.
So like slowly but surely, maybe you're saving 5%, 10%. You have more inventory, you have more space, you're making investments, you're building a positive flywheel that's moving in the right direction.
Yeah. Last month kind of killed my savings because I made 9K, then 9K, and then 4.5, and it cut me in half, right? So yeah, that last stretch of the month was a little bit tough. So I built back up a little bit, but like just this week, I'm now back at a point where I'm good enough to where I'm like I can kind of buy my used stuff without thinking about cash flow. But I feel kind of dumb for buying the car because I could have put less down, but I put 3,000 down because I was like I don't want to over leverage myself.
Why'd you buy a car?
I had one before. That was a Challenger. Then I sold it, and then I saw a good deal, and I said I want my car back. I sold my car. Well, when I got my third row SUV, I funded that cash with the sale of my Challenger, upsized. So then I just wanted another one. But I wish I would have. I like the car. Okay? I definitely want the car, but I think I want my business more. I think I want the growth of my business more. And I was like, whatever, it's 3K. I'm making 9,000 a month. And then I bought the car, and then because I got the car, during the day where I'm normally 9 to 6 at the warehouse, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna drive. And that only lasted for a few days before I was like, yeah, I'm not doing this. But it kind of killed my week. And 1 week, that's 25% of the month.
I see. So you bought a car and went on some joyrides.
Yeah.
Can you sell the car?
Yeah. I probably could. Yeah. I got a good deal on it. So I bought it under the value.
You probably make money on it.
Yeah.
You should sell the car.
Yeah.
Look, so I don't have to tell you this, right? Like it was not a prudent decision. We all make decisions like that. Like every dollar that you could save and put into your retirement account or your business, that's the prudent thing to do. But you got to live life. You got to do things that you enjoy. But you're feeling the direct consequence of that purchase, right? Like that 3K could have been inventory, and you have been on a pretty good growth trajectory. You had a slow April, but maybe that was like you taking the foot off the gas. Not literally, because clearly, like literally, you're putting the foot on the gas, but you're taking it off with your business. And especially right now, when you're just starting to dig yourself out of the hole, got to be super cash conscious, because that's the stuff that's going to allow you to accelerate your business, make investments, and buy inventory. And you have all this space now too. So,
and it's like I could stay where I'm at and still make my check and make okay money, but I want to do that. Like I want to grow.
Of course.
Out of curiosity, what puts me at top 5%?
Top 5% for flippers? I mean, I don't have the exact data on this, but I think if you're making over $100,000 a year in profit, you're definitely up there.
Oh,
yeah,
okay, cool.
yeah.
That's where I want to be. Well, I want to do just that, but
and then because at a certain point, I think you transcend being a couch flipper and you become like more of a furniture store. You know, you're not really, you might not even be flipping in the pure sense anymore, which is like you buy a used product and then you resell it.
Yeah. I want to get to the point to where the economics of the business is what I'm really focusing on, and not like stupid stuff like cleaning couches. Because it would be nice that I knew like, this is my cost per appointment, this is my show rate, and like really knew my numbers from click to close. Like what percentage of people buy online, what percentage of people come in, or like cross-selling and upselling people. Like for example, these tables here, if I have like this one here that makes me extra 150, like the table itself isn't really where the money's at probably, but it's probably in the fact that maybe someone who came in that it cost me $75 in ad spend to get them through the door. Well, if I add a $150 gross profit table, then I recouped my ad spend and then some.
Absolutely.
Right? So like
it's just like
some of these items they have to
increase basket size. You got to think like when you go to McDonald's or you go to Burger King, you order your Happy Meal or whatever meal, and they ask you, do you want to supersize that? And it's just such a good deal, right? It's such a good deal. Like, oh my God, like the whole meal is like $8 and you're going to like help me, like you're going to double up my fries. You're going to triple up my fries for like 50 cents more, $1 more. Why do they do that? It's the same rationale. They're already here. You might as well get them to buy a little bit more, even if your margins on that product aren't as good.
Yeah. I sold a table yesterday out of those appointments that I had. Like I had someone here and they came in on a $100 used couch that sold earlier in the day, and they ended up buying a table. And like, yeah, I only made $90 on the table, but like half of my appointments were from ads, right? Like that cost money. And like I was able to recoup ad spend at least from someone coming in and just getting that little table. And I want to be doing more of that to where I know that if I can get someone in here, I can convert them. But with that, I just need cash.
Yeah, well, I think in your case, however, you're a little short on inventory. So that's the other thing that you need to keep in mind is there's an opportunity cost associated with selling one-of-one products. So every used couch, every used piece of furniture is one of one, and more or less, and like you don't have like 10 of them, you don't have like 15 of them, and once it's sold, it's gone, right? So yeah, and one of your specific problems is that you tend to be short on inventory. So I would lean a little bit more towards trying to get more for items unless they've been sitting for a while. Now with like the tables and stuff like that, you can definitely get more tables, and yeah, you can definitely get more tables. And
well, since you told me to raise my prices last time, I'm making more money, like for sure, because like, dude, I'm selling Ashley Merriltons for like $680. They're $9.99 brand new, right? Because I up my delivery prices, and raised my prices, and it hasn't seemed to have an effect. Now I'm not selling out in a single day like I used to. Like I was selling out the day of before, and then scrambling during the week to get inventory up. It's not like that, but I like this pace a lot better. Okay, like with the warehouse, I got a stupid deal on it. My storage cost only went up by a couple $100. Things are slower moving, but I still make the same. Actually more, right? Like, because when have I made $7K halfway through the month? Yeah. And my lease has already been paid. That's including the $1,200 that I've already paid for the whole month. Normally I would have storage costs that would pop up later. Dude, it's just like cash flow, right? Because like some of the items that I have my money tied up in are 700 something. But the only reason why I'm storing money in those spots so heavily is because like my bread and butter, the used ones, I'm just not able to keep up with it. I need a little bit of clarity too. I do tend to overthink a lot, and then I kind of get like analysis paralysis of like what the direction is. But my concern from here is that like how do I present myself? People, they're seeing my ads, and then they're coming on the page and then wondering if stuff are new or used because I have like both. But I'm still able to sell them. I guess that's not too much of the issue. There's kind of like an inefficiency. Yeah, well, see, that's the problem.
So let's try to help you get clear, right?
Yeah.
So your business is growing and you were on track, right? But you took money that should have been kept in the business and you had fun with it. It is what it is. You could probably sell the car and you make a little bit of money on the sale and then get that money back and then put it into your business. And then once the business is growing and flowing again, you could go buy that car 10 times over in the future, right? So maybe look at that as a practical perspective, because they say that making your first 100,000 is harder than making your first million. And why is that? Let's talk about it. Why is that?
Well, because you don't have the money. Yeah, I'm sure it's because like when you have $100,000, there's a lot more you can do with it.
Yeah. So,
but I guess also too, there's the learning.
There's that, the learning, sure. But it's just talking about purely money. Money makes money. You need money to make money, right? And when you don't have $100,000, then every little expense that comes along in life is a larger portion of what your income is. Right? So let's say you make like $20,000 a year versus $100,000 a year. You still have basic needs at $20,000 a year, and you still have basic needs at $100,000 a year. And just fulfilling those basic needs is a larger share of your income. At 20, it might be 50%, it might be 100% of your income at $20,000 a year compared to someone who's making $100,000 a year. In which case, like maybe it's only 20% of his income. And so there's less of a spread between what you make and what you spend that can then be invested into the business. And so, especially when you're bootstrapping in the early days of a business, being super cash conscious and leveraging your cash as effectively as possible so that it's working for you as opposed to having some play money is really, really important. This is why some people never extract themselves from like the cycle of poverty, because they make a little bit of money and then they spend that money. And and for some people I get it, because maybe they don't have prospects, maybe they don't have a future. You have a really bright future, right? And so like that $3,000 in cash didn't seem like a lot. Oh, I'm making 9,000, but it totally slowed the momentum of your business, and now you're in a cash crunch. And the only way to get out of that cash crunch, you either liquidate the vehicle, or you're going to have to slowly climb up over the next like two, 3 months, again, probably maybe 2 months, to build up that cash reserve and then be able to deploy that in the business.
It feels like I cashed out right when I started picking up momentum, and then I expected the momentum to continue when, like, I feel like the money is what caused the momentum. Because like before I quit my job, right? Like I was really only making $4,500 to like maybe $5,000 a month. And then so like in my mind, right, I'm like, okay, I'm making double, cool. Yeah, man, I goofed. Yeah, I goofed. Because the clarity that came through as far as like just having the thousands of dollars sitting in the bank account helped me make better decisions, because I wasn't doing stuff out of necessity, right? Like I wasn't taking a worse deal on that couch because I needed the money this week.
Absolutely.
Or like stuff like that. And it's not like that right now.
No, it kind of is though. Because you need to make $6,000. You need to pay yourself $6,000 a month. You have $3,000 in cash on hand. That means you can pay yourself for the next 2 weeks. That's not enough runway to feel comfortable. What happens if you can't pay yourself $1,500 a week, right? You're gonna miss rent. You're gonna miss a car payment, and then once you miss those, like interest gets tacked on, late fees, penalties. So it's not a good situation. So look, you're flipping like 30 couches a month, which for a basically solo operation is about where you should be at. And this, you've struggled to get to that point, right? Like you and I have talked about this in the past. Why, hey, Kian, like how many flips are you doing a month? Like 12, 15, like that was kind of the norm 3-4 months ago. But now like you're really on track to be doing a flip a day. And for basically a solo outfit, that's what I would expect if you're really hustling. So that's good news. It's like you're kind of on track. You're like you've improved and you're on that level now, right? Like you're getting about a flip a day. But to really be crushing it, given your space, your overall situation, you probably need to hire some help. And your flip volume needs to get to like 60, probably double, right? 60, maybe triple, 60 to 90. Now you're really making money in the business. You're not going to be able to do that flipping used couches. You and I both know this. It's just not possible. There's not enough time in the day. So if you're running around town, grabbing every single couch, spending 4 or 5 hours, picking up, staging, cleaning, etc. on each couch, you just don't have enough hours in the week. So you need to buy couches wholesale. You need to get multiple couches all at once, ready to go, ready to sell. And you've also seen the impact of that on your business. Like it's worked for you in the past, right? Like we did that interior define load together. We did some Kathy Koo. Kathy Koo could have gone better, but there's also.
Yeah, that was the interior define was the first month that I made. February
20,
first month.
20 grand.
What did I make?
20 grand revenue. Yeah. Solid.
So like in.
Yeah. So and look.
And it went down the next month because that was all used. But
so the formula, right? Like you don't want to take the foot off the gas with the used. Keep that going. Try to keep that as steady and consistent as possible. And maybe that's in the realm of like 25 flips a month, just used. And then you want to strategically layer the new in. And imagine. And so Kathy Koo didn't go as well as we wanted, right? Because there's one item that was missing, and then like a slip cover that was missing from the other sofa. And like that honestly is part of
the slip cover one.
It is kind of part of the.
I don't know if I even would have sold that one by now. But I hear you. Like
it's part of the game with liquidation.
I'm not the only person that's
like if you buy from B stock, for example, like 20% of whatever you buy is just garbage, right? Like as a rule, if you average,
and I've heard they're not
giving credits. Yeah, at least we make you whole, right? And it's not ideal. It does tie up your cash, but you always have that credit. You can place another order with us. But look, if you had kept that cash, right, and maybe it was 3,000, probably a little bit more with the loss of productivity. So let's say the deficit here is like $4 grand. Guess what? That's your Kathy Koo pickup this month.
Yeah, and dude, okay. If we can talk about the load specifically for a minute, I'm a little bit nervous. Okay, these prices are outside of my wheelhouse. I normally find myself delivering these couches normally like an hour and a half away or whatever. But like the numbers that I was making on them, if the numbers make sense, I'll drive them out there. It's fine. Or if I can if a delivery guy tells me it's $150 and someone's willing to pay it, then I'll just break even on the delivery and then just have that couch go. But like to get to 5K, there's like $1,000 love seats in there. And even though the last order of the Kathy Koo didn't go the way I was hoping, like I've learned some stuff, like double checking measurements and things.
Yeah, so
like the love seats don't gain as much traction, which I knew.
Yeah, I mean personally, and look, I don't really audit people's orders because I just get too many orders. So when you place an order, I'm like, okay, he's done his own due diligence, right? Like, and if he has questions, he's gonna ask me. And if you had asked me, should I buy this like leather love seat for I don't know how much you paid for, like a couple $100, 500, 600, 7?
7.
It's up there, you know. And like,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
it's just like a love seat on its own. It's a little bit of a hard sell, especially at, you know, that high of a price point, because at least with the 3-seater, like a leather 3-seater or leather sectional, like that can stand on its own and kind of, it'll like fill up a room. It's sufficient for a room, right? A love seat on its own is hard because it straddles this very weird line between a chair, and you might buy a single chair or 2 chairs for your bedroom, or, you know, put it in the corner somewhere, chair, right? And then it's like not big enough and it's not small enough either. And so love seats typically do better when they're part of a set. And then if you bought it for 700,
750.
sorry,
I'm in.
You paid 750 for that.
Yeah. At what point do I just break even?
I mean, try to sell for something.
Because I wonder if the opportunity cost is higher.
Yeah,
than...
right now it is, because you don't have the cash, right? So there is real
well, if I did, then I could play more offense and
just
wait
wait
on it.
because you have the space. You have the space, but you don't have the cash. So it is meaningful that you have 750 tied up in a couch in that love seat right now. Otherwise, it would be fine. You could just wait, you know. And then, but you know, at the end of the day, I don't think that that item in particular you were ever destined to make a bunch of money on. So that's a nice thing about couch flipping is your risk is pretty much limited to what you pay for the item, because I think you can always sell relatively for what you paid for. So you,
yeah. Losing money is normally never like...
Right. You lose time, you lose energy, but that's a lesson. And you're probably not going to make that mistake again. So what I think, you know, what you need to keep in mind for these newer loads is that for a higher end audience, the relative price is relevant. Relative price is relevant. So if they know that it's a really high end brand and they're getting it 80% off, 70% off retail, so it's like, you know, $5,000, but they can get it for like $1,500. That's cool, right? They know, they understand. These price anchors are useful in coaxing them to make a decision. But if the economy is down and people are struggling and, you know, you're not reaching that higher end of customer, absolute price does matter. So, you know, you have to think like who's spending $1,500 on a love seat, who's spending $1,200 on a love seat, right? Absolute price matters. So I think, you know, with the love seat in particular, you probably indexed a little bit too much on like the retail value, as opposed to thinking of the utility and absolute value and absolute price of the item, right?
For what it is, I'm sure I can get at least 850.
Yeah.
I just haven't tried. Because I was in that mindset of like make money on everything.
Just get it out. You have like I would just get it out if I were you, and then try again with something new. Like as we've talked about, turnover rate is important, and part of it is like people sit on shit too long. I don't think generally you have this problem. I think people in general do sit on shit too long because they want to extract all the value instead of just keeping things flowing. Because once again, you're still young, you're still new to this game. Like you started full time less than a year ago, right? You're gonna make mistakes, and so when you keep that shit flowing, it just lets you turn that L into a lesson and then move on and then leverage that into your next opportunity. So if you were to order, you know, getting to like the original idea of our conversation, if you were to order some more Kathy Koo, I don't think you can do it at this moment. I don't think you have the liquidity unless you were to put it on credit card, but you know.
Yeah, but I'm too, my utilization's too high for me to continue anymore. Not that I don't have the excess, but then like damaging my credit.
I'm not recommending it to you at this moment. But
yeah.
I think like in the inventory that we just got, there's actually quite a few good deals. I did make a mistake though. So there's like liquidation items and then there are new items. And then the liquidation items are priced differently than the new items, right? They're cheaper. So liquidation, let's say, is like 20% of MSRP, which are returns, which is what you bought previously. And then they have new in-box items that we could probably sell for in the neighborhood of like, I don't know, 27% of MSRP, but it's all new in box. But these are higher end items, as you've seen. There's just like there's a lot more stuff, right, in the list that I sent you recently. So
what do you recommend I branch out to? Because there's only so many couches.
Yeah, so I would pick out like the best couches that you feel confident that you can make money on, instead of just like picking things because you think that you can make 5, like you have to get to a minimum order quantity, right? And then what I would look for are other pieces of furniture where the value matrix just lines up. You know, like, so if you can get a bed set, because you have the space, right? If you can get a bed set that's worth $2,000 for, you know, $350, $200 or $400, right? Like you can probably sell a bed set for $800 and double your money. So those are the kinds of things I'd be on the lookout for. I think people get too pigeonholed on couches. And I think what's also going to happen in this industry is that there are only so many used couches to buy. There are only so many liquidation loads to buy. And this is a problem that, you know, I've been understanding at a deeper level as I get more immersed in the industry is, you know, like right now, a lot of people have built their business on the back of B-Stock, buying Costco couches from B-Stock. But also what we're seeing is that month over month, buying these B-Stock loads get more competitive. And a lot of these are being allocated out in terms of contracts now. So it's a little bit region dependent whether or not you can get access to the inventory you want. But I think, you know, as more people get into buying wholesale liquidation of couches, that they're going to realize that it's not easy to just get a load purely of couches from a furniture retailer. Like most of the time they're going to have a mixed load that includes various types of furniture, and they're going to have to expand their taste a little bit. It's beneficial for them to expand their taste a little bit than trying to pigeonhole or box in all their buying opportunities to just sectionals and sofas. Now, I'm not saying don't focus on sectionals and sofas. It could, make it 70% of what you do, but have some space, 30% for other kinds of items. And, in the retailer returns program that we've been running, we've been seeing that indeed, like you can make money selling a dining table, dining room chairs, bar stools, side consoles. Like people are making good money flipping these items in the returns program.
Dude, I think I made like $250 selling some chairs that took like no space. The chairs that I got from that
the covered ones.
Yeah, dude, that sofa was kind of
yeah. The Lulu in Georgia.
Yeah. The Lulu in Georgia. It seems that there's a following of people.
Absolutely. It's high-end designer. I would say their audience is small but vocal, small but intense. Niche.
Yeah. So I'm noticing the lead volume is low. But when I do come across that person that knows what it is, they don't want to negotiate. They want the couch.
They know the value.
Because they were just at that episode. Yeah.
I mean, what you mean like 800?
So
I made like $800 on the slipcover. Yeah.
Yeah. For like a tiny and it was so easy to load and deliver, and it wasn't a big sectional, and it didn't take up a lot of space.
You didn't have to clean it. You didn't even have to negotiate, right? It's just like you roll up to the customer's house.
Yeah.
Oh, you're here to pick up the return. Yeah, here it is. Take it out. Bing, bing, boom.
Yeah. I'm thinking about raising delivery prices again. But for new stuff, it's seeming to not make sense because of percentage, right? If someone's spending $1,200-$1,500 on something, $150 to $200 for delivery seems reasonable. But I just need to come up with a new structure. I have 3 tiers: $100 full service, $80 e-help, and $30 curbside transportation, and that's within like
30 minutes. What distance is that though?
Yeah, like 30 miles, based on the roads that I have. Light traffic. It's not no good metro.
I mean, within 30 minutes, that's reasonable. Like maybe you could bump it up like $20 each level.
Okay, so 50, 100, like 140.
Didn't you say 100 at the top level?
Yeah, so I tried to scale up with it. Yeah, so I guess 120, 150. I was going to try to bump the highest one a little bit higher, but I don't know. But I think 2 guys in a truck is valuable. And I actually make money on the delivery fees, even if like I'm having to pay some guy.
How many couches do you have right now?
Okay, so 13 or like 14. One of them's kind of in the wind. Yeah, let's say 13, because one of them's kind of screwed. It's probably going to be trash. 13. But let's see, 5 of those are used. And then, so I only have 2 used ones that are up for sale, and one of them I posted yesterday. I normally drop my stuff every Thursday, but then I had people asking me about stuff that I had pre-dropped that I sold. So when it was drop time, I didn't have anything. But I screwed my group up, so my drops aren't working anyways, because the chat is what helped me sell within 24 hours, but I don't have the chat anymore. And the reach in Facebook groups is wavy. Nick's complained about this too. It's not necessarily the best all the time, but the chat was guaranteed. So I'll probably have to start a new one. But sales haven't. You don't have a sales problem.
You have a cash problem. You have an inventory problem, and those two things are related. So look, Kian, I think the path for you here is really clear, right? Like, this is how you are. This is what makes you good and bad. Is a strength and your weakness, right? You have a really analytical mind, and so you have a tendency to drill deep on different concepts, but you don't need to drill deep on all these different concepts, right? You need to lock in. So here's my prescription for you: is you need to get back to grinding, and you need to slowly but surely bring that cash pile back to where it was. Because at one point it was probably like $6,000-$7,000 that you had in reserves. You need to save money. You need to save money. Like that's end of the day. You need to have like $15,000-$20,000 cash that you can deploy in the business. And you know this, right? Like you're saying, I don't like being so close to the wire. Like it makes me stress. Yeah, actually, this is one of the key pieces of advice I give to people when they ask me about entrepreneurship. It's like, first thing you should do is get safe. What does that mean? Like go get a job. Like go get a job, build up some savings. And before you start doing something entrepreneurial, like have a little bit of cushion. And this is in the ideal world, right? Not everyone has the opportunity to do this, or maybe they don't want to, which is fine. But if I were to prescribe an ideal path, it's go get safe. And the reason is that if you're not safe, like you're worried about how to feed yourself, how to pay rent, how you're going to pay the bills, you have a family on the hook as well, your stress levels are going to be high. And the way cortisol affects your body, your sleep, your thinking, your decision making, it's all in a negative way. And so you're never going to be your best performance as an entrepreneur unless you get that under control. And so, especially if you come from I don't know, if like you don't come from money, like for example me, like I don't come from money, like my family, very humble, and like I actually saw my dad make a lot of money and then lose all of his money, right? And so that impacted my relationship with money. And I used to, like, even to this day, like I always keep cash around because I feel security in cash. Like just knowing that if anything happens, you know, I could fuck off for like a year or two and be okay. That means something to me because growing up, I don't know that I had that kind of financial security. So as I've become an adult, like having that kind of financial security is really important to me.
Yeah.
So anyhow, like you need to build up liquidity. You're going to make better decisions. You're not going to think from a place of fear. You're going to be able to abstract a little bit and, you know, make decisions that are actually good for your business. And then you're going to have cash to invest. You know, you need cash to buy wholesale. You need to be buying like, you know, LTL or FTL, you know, half trailers, full trailers. Why? This is basically the only way to scale a couch flipping business. Because solo flipping couches one by one, you're about at the peak. You're about at the limit, which is 30 couches a month. That's good. You know, you weren't there like 3 months ago. So you've made an improvement in that 3-month period of time. Is like now the engine is humming, right? Like,
I think what happened was like the lesson was do more and you'll make more, and then use that, save that, and then reinvest. And then I did that one iteration, and I was like, I made it, and then cashed out.
Yeah.
And I knew it was wrong. But dude, a part of me, and this is like a personal thing I have to deal with. I'm making more than my elders. Like the money that like the business has profited is already a substantial amount that I'm used to seeing. And so at a certain point, I start feeling stupid for wanting more. And it's something
Why?
I gotta, like,
Why do you feel stupid for wanting more?
To be like, it's not wrong. Because
you're so young. You work hard. You live in the best country in the world for for opportunity and like the ability to grow wealth. You know, like you have a lot going for you. And you made a mistake. People make mistakes. That's totally fine. Just brush it off your shoulder. And you're gonna have to feel the effects of that mistake for probably another month or two. I don't think much longer. And you know, in the grand scheme of things, it's not that big a deal.
I don't think so either, because I was down to it was actually worse. So last week I made 3K, and then this week I'm up 5. But before this, I was low. Like I used some personal funds to like fund some couch stuff. It got that bad because I made 4.5K less than I thought I was, and then I spent 3K, right? So that's already like $7,500 difference. So like all of that, well, there's my 7,000 right there, and then right to the floor. And yeah, it was stupid, right? Like I spent money and came off the gas. Like that's the number one reason why I don't take vacations right now, because I know it's dumb to like not work and spend more money than you normally spend. But I still did it anyways. But it cost me a few months, and like now I know, and I guess I just got to truck it forward. But like I'm feeling the pain of a decision that I made, and I'm like expecting another decision to fix it, but really it's just like I got to hop back on the path and then keep trucking forward again.
I think that's about right.
Yeah.
So look, you have the answers. Get focused.
Yeah. Well, no, it's actually when I meet with you, it gives me a lot of clarity, because I'm like, what's going on? When I start analyzing stuff too much, and I'm like, nah, it's this, it's that, and then the conclusion I always come to is I need better marketing. It's always the wrong one. Yeah. So but it's the stuff I like, so that's why I lean into that.
Absolutely. All right, Kian. Hopefully this gave you some clarity. Keep on keeping on, and then we'll get together soon.
Yeah. Hopefully I'm at 30 in a couple months.
30K or 30 couches?
No. 30K.
Yeah,
I'm already at
30 couches. Yeah. See you at 30K.
Yeah.
All right. Ciao. Bye.
Yep. See you at 30.
Hold on.
Ciao.